Hello students, this week we are going to examine Chapter 9, Using Supply Chain to Create Value for Customers. Let's look at some of the learning objectives for this week. Explain why sourcing and procurement activities are an important parts of supply chain management. Describe the reasons why the use of outsourcing and offshoring has grown. Explain some of the drawbacks companies face when they outsource their activities. Number 2, explain why demand planning adds value to products. Describe the role inventory control plays when it comes to marketing products. List the reasons why firms collaborate with one another for the purpose of inventory control and demand planning. Number 3, understand the role warehouses and distribution centers play in the supply chain. Outline the transportation modes firms have to choose from and the advantages and disadvantages of each. Number 4, understand why being able to trace products is important to organizations and their customers. Explain what reverse logistics is and why firms utilize it. Using supply chain to create value for customers includes the following several steps. Number 1, supply chains include all of the organizations that impact products before, during, and after their production. Designing, monitoring, and altering these organizations is called supply chain management. These organizations are viewed too narrowly by many companies, but some companies consider them to be an integral part of the marketing plans. In the progressive companies, the term value chain is used to signify the important role they play. Next, we're going to examine sourcing and procurement. Sourcing is hiring and evaluating suppliers, and procurement is purchasing the necessary goods and services. Procurement is the process of actually purchasing those goods and services. A firm will outsource the task if it finds a company that can add more value to the task than it can. Examples of an outsourced task are freight forwarders, which are companies that can negotiate rates for shipment and book space for them on transportation vehicles, as in warehouses. Third-party logistics firms handle other companies' order processing and shipping. FedEx Supply Chain Services and UPS Supply Chain Solutions are two such companies. Outsourcing has grown extensively since the 1990s. The purpose of outsourcing is to lower overall costs and allow companies to focus on their core competencies or what they do best. Many clothing companies outsource all manufacturing to low labor cost nations. Nike, for example, designs its products, then contracts with other companies in other countries to produce them. When outsourcing work in the supply chain is done to companies abroad, it's known as offshoring. Let's look at some of the benefits of outsourcing. They are related to value, cost, and time. Value, because sometimes outside organizations can provide more value than the manufacturer itself. Cost, because sometimes outside organizations can provide more cost effectiveness. And time, outside organizations may provide products and services in a more timely manner. There are, however, some risks related to outsourcing. Control. Loss of control has consequences in quality and safety. Some risks in terms of quality. More than 1/5 of companies experience quality problems after they outsource their services or products. Safety. There are some redundant safety checks that need to be performed. Outsourcing poses a little bit of risk also in terms of corporate social responsibility and environmental sustainability. There are some other outsourcing concerns that are related to logistics of transportation and storing, and workforce policies of third world countries. Some concerns lead to insourcing or moving activities back in-house. Let's look at matching a company's sourcing strategies with the needs of its customers. Ultimately, the customer should be the focus of any outsourcer's decisions. Is quality important? Is price important? What controls can be put in place to ensure product quality and safety? Next, we're going to examine demand planning, and inventory control. And we're going to look at the reasons why firms collaborate with one another for the purpose of inventory control and demand planning. Demand planning is the process of estimating how much a good or service a customer will buy. Inaccurate estimates affect production scheduling or the management of resources, events, and processes needed to create the offering. Product's lead time is the amount of time it takes for a customer to receive a good or service once it's been ordered. Things to consider when forecasting sales are company's past sales, availability and price of materials to make products, competition, oil prices, shipping costs, economy, weather, promotions planned. Collaborative planning, forecasting, and replenishment, known as CPFR, is the practice of sharing information and coordinating operations with suppliers. Supply chain visibility is a new trend in supplier-company relationships. A CPFR example is Walmart's development of a web-based system called Retail Link, which allows companies to log into Retail Link to see how well their products are selling. Demand planning software allows for more accurate demand forecasts because it can synthesize a variety of factors such as sales history, point of sale data, warehouse, suppliers, and promotion information, as well as economic and competitive trends. Next, we're going to look at inventory control. Inventory control is the process of ensuring firms have an adequate amount of products and a wide enough assortment of them to meet customers' needs. The goal is to avoid stockouts or running out of products. To avoid stockouts, company often keeps safety stock or a minimum amount of backup inventory to serve as a buffer in case demand surges or supply drops off for some reason. Companies have to balance between keeping enough inventory to meet needs and keeping too much and having to pay storage fees, taxes, etc. Shrinkage is a term used to describe a reduction or loss in inventory due to shoplifting, employee theft, paperwork errors, and supplier fraud. 45% of firms responding to one survey about the downturn in the economy reported providing financial help to their critical supply chain partners, often in the form of credit and revised payment schedules. Let's look at what a just-in-time inventory means. Just-in-time inventory is a system in which a firm keeps very little inventory on hand. Instead, its suppliers ship the inventory as needed. A vendor-managed inventory is the practice of having your suppliers manage your inventories. Dell's inventory and production system allows customers to customize their computers. Dell keeps its inventory levels low, so it does just-in-time inventory supply. It has components on hand that can be configured to suit customers' preferences. Next, we're going to look at production tracking. The electronic product code, or EPC, is similar to a barcode, only that it's better because the number on it is truly unique. And radio frequency identification tag, or RFID tag, emits radio signals that can record and track shipments. EPC, or electronic products codes, is stored on a radio frequency identification tag, or RFID, which emits radio signals that can record and track an item as it comes in or out of a facility. RFID tags cost anywhere from 50 cents to $50, so they're generally used to track larger shipments. RFID technology is the same as the technology used to microchip a pet, open car doors remotely, or wave through a tall checkpoint. Next, we're going to examine the role warehouses and distribution centers play in the supply chain. Outline the transportation modes firms have to choose from and the advantages and disadvantages of each. Warehouses are needed to accommodate supply and demand changes for products. Distribution centers are warehouses or storage facilities where the emphasis is on processing and moving goods onto wholesalers, retailers, or consumers rather than on storage. The trend is toward smaller warehouses. Let's look at how warehouses and distribution centers function. We are going to examine the SQU, or stock keeping unit. These are unique ID numbers that are used to find products. Then, in terms of automation, robots are used to pick products, and electronic data interchange, or EDI, is computer-to-computer document exchange. The different types of transportation, I'm not going to go into too much detail, because you know that the main types of transportation are trucks, water, air, railroads, and pipelines. Next, we're going to examine the track and trace systems and reverse logistics. Track and trace systems that electronically record the paths shipments has become almost as important to businesses as shipping costs themselves. Today, most product shipments can be traced using GPS, RFID, and barcodes, though tracking individual packages is harder. Consumers are more interested than ever to know where their products come from and when they'll arrive. Companies are working to develop systems that may one day make it possible to trace all products. Firms now run products and materials backwards through the supply chain to extract value from them. This process is known as reverse logistics. Most companies set up reverse logistics systems to turn trash into cash. A recent study suggests companies can recover up to 0.3% of their annual sales this way, which for Best Buy would amount to 100 million a year. Upcycling is a process to extract value from waste and using it to create new products. Our chapter concludes with the following key takeaways. Being able to trace products helps a company anticipate events that could disrupt the supply chain, including shipping mistakes, bad weather, and accidents, so they can be averted. Most shippers have track and trace systems that can track product loads. Tracking individual products, especially after they're combined to make other products, is more difficult. Consumers are more interested than ever in knowing where their products come from, particularly where there's a contamination problem with an offering. Reverse logistics is the process of running damaged and defective products and scrap material backward through the supply chain to extract more value from them. Companies are increasingly employing reverse logistics not only to save money, but also for environmental reasons. This concludes our chapter 9. I hope you enjoyed learning about the supply chain management and about the reverse logistics, and I wish you the best of luck with the rest of the semester.